Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you? How is everybody? It's another wonderful morning, guys, that we are meeting here. This is that show that we normally have very early in the morning. And this show is where we get an opportunity to review what is on our daily newspapers. So, karibu sana to Afrique 24-hour TV. And in this morning, we want to see what is making news on our daily newspapers. Karibu sana. So if you're joining me for the first time, kama kawaida, I always say that the first thing that you need to do is to click on the subscribe button and subscribe to our channel. Which channel is it? You have to subscribe to Afrique 24-hour TV. So I'm your host, Leo Nyabaya, and I'm going to take you through what is making news on our newspapers. And before that, I just want to play for you a small clip. Just want to play for you a small clip or a small video just to remind you of what happened yesterday. And this is what has made it on today's headlines. So have a look at that.
Kenyans have serious things ranging from unemployment, high cost of living, to high cost of education that should be discussed on the floor of the parliament. Housing is a private good that should be left to Kenyans to decide on their own by providing jobs and letting them build their own houses. The government's role is to create an enabling environment so that Kenyans can...
They were told that projects that are going on in their constituencies will be stopped by the executive. Some of them told me they were called by executive members, senior executive members like PSS and ministers from the counties they come from. But if you are going to threaten them, intimidate them, they are people, are taxpayers. Taking development to members of parliament, areas represented by Azimio, is not a favor, it's a right. Their constituents, their people also pay taxes, just like the constituents, members of Kenya Kwanza pay taxes. So today I was really shocked because I wanted to de-whip some of them, but some of them came crying on their knees and told me, my friend, I had a project going on in my constituency and I got a phone call the previous day and I was told, if you don't vote in this manner, we are going to stop that project in your constituency. I told him, stand up, don't worry, go and serve your people, but next time, don't listen to that because we are going to make it very clear to the Kenyans that it is your right to get development and it is your right to be served with your taxes.
Let me explain our complaint and then Babu Wino will speak. Just as the whip has explained, our first complaint is rushing the bill. You realize that this is only the third bill, the third day since the bill was introduced. It was introduced last week on Thursday, which is the last day of sitting. Yesterday was Tuesday, and today is Wednesday. The idea of having a bill that is as important as it is, fast-tracked within 3 days, is a matter of national concern. And for those of you who will watch, you will see that all of us members here who were present yesterday during the second reading were denied the opportunity. I was the only one allowed by the speaker to speak because I had made a special intervention so that the voices of all of us who are here, the voices of their constituents, has not been heard. The second problem with the bill is that it's coming at a time that there was a court case that had declared the previous provisions within the Public Finance Act unconstitutional. There are two bases for that. One is the need to examine whether national government can involve itself in executing housing projects. And yet under the Constitution, it is clearly one for the counties. National government is only allowed to give the policy. The second bit about that is the discrimination aspect of it, that those who are employed are made to pay an amount in a very clear formula. Yet those who are unemployed, there's no similarity in terms of clarity. Those two issues have not been addressed. We had thought that they would be addressed first before you come to conceiving what the bill looks like. Thirdly, it's in terms of the bill itself. As conceived, it is totally unclear on everything. It is unclear on who's to benefit. Yes, it is unclear on whether it is meant for ownership.
Yeah, actually, that is what is forming at the basis of today's news. If you look at today's newspapers, like I just want to start with the first uh, newspaper. You can see I have the Standard. So today is a Thursday, so I'm having the Standard on the top of the story. You'll find that if you we are going to look at those ones in other pages, like page 7 is talking of debt repayments, which swallows 98% of January revenue. So 98% of the revenue that has been generated in January has been swallowed by the debt. Ruto adds shillings 3 trillion to public debt. So the public debt has been increased. Ruto has added 3 trillion to public debt. And we are going to look at it in the next uh, uh, in the next pages. We are going to see how this 3 trillion has been added to our debt when the president promised that he's going to reduce on the borrowing, but instead we are seeing the opposite. He've added 3 trillion on the debt. We'll also look at YouTuber thrown in. Those are other pages. And now the most important, on the first page, you can be able to see exposed shillings 833 million scam universities. How did this one happen? It happened that there are even people who got paid, the people who got how do you call it, help deposited in the accounts, yet there are people who had graduated, people who are working. So this is what is happening in Kenya. Parliament is investigating how Higher Education Placement Agency, that is the KUCCPS, disbursed shillings 883 million to finance students who had already graduated from private universities following Auditor General Nancy Gathungu's revelation. So that is Kenya for you. On top of the story, we are also having Ruto MPs ram housing bill through parliament. So what is happening? Opposition MPs walk out of house as President William Ruto scores his third and crucial win, in which the passage of the Affordable Housing Bill 2023 that introduces new taxes on Kenyans to find the head of state's projects. Yes, that was a win to William Ruto. That was a win to William Ruto as the bill sailed through, despite the Azimio members walking out to protest that the speaker or the House was not so conducive. The House did not allow them to present their amendments to the bill, which they say is draconian. Raila succession, Titans line up to take the mantle. The Raila succession is a debate that has been muted but has gotten a new lease of life after the Odium leader announced his interest in shifting his attention to continental politics with a shot at the chairmanship of the AU Commission. We are going to look at that story in page 8. Post-mortem reveals how Kiptum died. Yes, the chief government pathologist, Johannes Odur, says that the marathon world holder had skull fractures and broken ribs in an accident that also killed his coach. So sad, and we just have to say, rest in peace, and we pray for the family so that God may give them strength at these trying moments in their life. So that is what is making headline on the first page. Let's look at the second page and see what the Standard is reporting. It continues with the story of how shillings 880 million was disbursed to private universities for ex-students. Imagine somebody who've gone to a private university, they've completed their course study, and some of them are even working right now, but you're still seated there and the money is just coming through your account. That is how Kenyan system is. So MPs are investigating the issue. So we are told that Parliament is investigating how Kenyan universities and colleges Central Placement Service disbursed 883 million to fund students who had already graduated from private universities in the last 6 years. This was prompted by a probe by Auditor General Nancy Gathungu, who recommended that some 15 universities refund 201,671, almost 2.6 billion. Yeah, they spent on students funded under government-sponsored students, but not placed by COOPs. So these students are in private universities, but they get funding. She also directed that 14 universities to refund about 17.7 million spent on students whose names were duplicated in the payment schedules for the period under review. So duplication, you are called Anthony Kibagendi, so they duplicate your name. So Anthony Kibagendi gets money deposited twice. So the National Assembly Public Investment Committee on Governance and Education began the probe yesterday following a special audit report on the COOPS program by the Auditor General. Wanasema hii Kenya deals ni mingi, DCI ndio shida. So just see, look at what is happening in the country. Yeah? This is how education sector is being misused. Vulnerable students, vulnerable children who should be given opportunity to advance their studies are missing it. How? Why are they missing it? They're missing it simply because of some errors that are being done. On first, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, I'm looking at this story in Standard whereby shillings 800 million was sent to students who had already graduated. And to make it worse, they graduated in private universities. So as your daughter, your son, or your relative is seated outside there waiting for the help money, and the money has not been given to them, somebody who already graduated is just seated comfortably and receiving this money. So what do you say of that?
Here now, as you can see, we have a lot of money being dispersed to private universities.
Yeah.
So I think we that is good because we are promoting education, and that money will be useful for managing the schools. You know, the universities are suffering nowadays because we don't have that direct access to elbow money. And again, we know that comrades suffer a lot. So we need to boost our education. You know, university is the highest. They say that if you have not gone to university, then you have not attained it. So I think that is a good idea. So
okay, what is happening here is different. The money is not that it has been given to students who are studying. These are students who graduated, ghost students. Like you've already graduated, but now they still send you money, the money that should be sent to students who need it. So it is like some form of corruption whereby money is sent to wrong people. 880 million has been sent to students who are not in school, ghost students. Some of them had graduated years ago. They are just in the house, but they are receiving the money. Does it mean that there is somebody who is sending this money and is taking back some portion of it?
So I think this is a good idea, but again, no, I will not agree with this one because this money now can be used to do other things. Someone who has graduated and has already finished school, so we need to use this money for another purpose. We have a lot of things that we can do as Kenya.
Yeah, so that is what is happening in Kenya. Money, this is the corruption that is there. So the Auditor General found that the monies were sent to ghost accounts. So it means there's a student somewhere who missed school, who missed to get education simply because somebody's greed, somebody was given money that is not needed. The same thing is in the same page whereby you're told errors in Teacher Service Commission payroll put doubt on bid to recover 47 million. Teacher Service Commission may not recover some 47 million in overpaid salaries, an audit report has shown. Analysts by the Office of the Auditor General of the payroll for the 2021-2022 financial year revealed that there were 85 teachers with outstanding overpayment balances amounting to 47,352,946. But the concern to the auditor's office is that the outstanding repayment period will exceed their retirement age of 60 by the end of the contract period. So therefore, recovery of the overpayment it is in doubt. So people get overpaid. How does this one happen? Is it an intentional error that somebody just gets overpaid? So the stories are interesting there. 6 milk dry dormant accounts. So what is happening in Kenya is just so horrible. let us get to the main story that is even forming the topic for discussion today. Ruto wins big as housing bill sails through. This is what Standard is reporting. If you can see there, you can see the image of the Azimio members of parliament. You can see Senior Council Otiende Amolo, Junet Mohammed, Dr. Babu Owino, among other. If you look at their faces doesn't show some happiness. They look so disappointed. This is after they walked out of the house yesterday and they were addressing the press. So President William Ruto scored a crucial win yesterday after members of parliament passed the Affordable Housing Bill 2023 that introduces taxes on Kenyans that will fund his pet project. The bill will seek to anchor the 1.5% housing levy on both salaried and income earning Kenyans in law. Was given the nod by the National Assembly yesterday, and it is now headed to the Senate where, if adopted, it will be forwarded to President Ruto for assent. And remember, once the president has assented on it, then it becomes a law, of which if you fail to remit the 1.5% of your salary or your income, wewe mama mboga pale, then they can take you to court and charge you for disobeying the law. So this means that should senators vote like their National Assembly counterparts, the controversial 1.5% tax, which has been declared unconstitutional by the courts, will be reintroduced. The win coming just days after Kenya Kwanza Alliance held its parliamentary group meeting in Naivasha did not, however, come without contestation. This was manifested through a walkout staged by approximately 20 Azimio MPs from parliament during the debate of the bill. And in a press conference, the opposition leaders accused the president of playing puppet master by coercing MPs to vote for the bill despite its unpopularity, and further accused their Kenya Kwanza counterparts of being voting machines that voted in a robotic manner. So this is what UNED said. We refuse to sit and participate in a rubber stamping process. If Parliament continues doing business this way, then we are going to have a problem in the near future. So that is what happened. Mbadi further hinted that the opposition's return to the court and calls for mass protest following the move by Kenya Kwanza. Minority Whip Junet Mohammed accused Parliament of being at the whims of the executive and warned against passing of bill which members are not interrogated. So it's reported that once again, William Ruto won. The bill sailed through. The majority had their way, but the minority are claiming they did not have their say. You know, they normally say in democracy, majority must have their way, but the minority must have their say. So their say in that they should be allowed to contribute. So what we saw yesterday, the minority claimed they were not allowed time to present their amendment to the proposed bill. And because of that, they realized that their counterparts had already had a fixed mind. It's like they had a meeting somewhere and agreed that this is what we are going to pass, and this is it, and this is it, and nothing is going to change, not even a comma, not even a full stop. So Bonfaz, what do you say about this win? The housing bill is now getting to become a reality. Shall the Senate pass it? And the way things are, senators are likely to do the same thing as the National Assembly.
Definitely, the Senate is going to pass the bill because we have more members from the Huda, again in Senate and in Parliament. So what do you expect? We expect them to obey the laws from their boss. So you cannot go astray with your boss command. So again, I know that they are going to pass it. And again, if they pass it, then the weight will be felt by the Kenyans. So if that bill is not making sure that every Kenyan is well accommodated, then we definitely sure that this thing is going to make some of the Kenyans to suffer. And again, this bill will not make us to achieve the Vision 2030. So how are you going to achieve the Vision 2030 if that is the bill that is being proposed? And again, we know that by 2027 we will only have 3 years. So if this bill goes and it is approved, how do you expect it? So of course we are going to expect the National Assembly and the Senate to be in one thing, because we have few members from Azimio. So we are going to pass it. So if it is passed, then definitely we are going to be losers. We Kenyans, and the common mwananchi will be the first person to feel that weight. So I think we need to be fair. We need to be free. We need to make sure that our country is in the right way. Because if this bill passes, yesterday we talked about this bill. This bill has a lot of disadvantages more than advantages. Okay, it cannot have all disadvantages. It has some important things. But again, the disadvantages, the negative effects are more when it comes to this housing bill. So if it goes and it gets approved, definitely Kenyans will feel that weight. They are going to feel it because if the bill is passed, you know, a fellow Kenya like me who is not in the parliament and the Senate, you cannot, even if you open your mouth wide to say that I don't want this bill, nothing you can do because you are not involved in Senate or parliament or the judiciary. Because those are the three key things that are involved when we come to passing the bill being anything that is meant by the parliament, you know, or the president approves anything. You know, here we have president, judiciary, we have parliament and the Senate. The parliament is made by those MPs and the Senate is made by those senators. So if they approve, then what are we going to do? We're going to agree because we have no power. We have nothing to do. What are we going to do? So it has a lot of negative effects than the positive.
So in other words, you're now saying that Kenyans are now on their own.
Yeah, we are the common mwananchi here will suffer.
So mwananchi is now on their own. Nobody is going to stand up for them. Nobody is going like to protect them. Nobody is going to make legislations that are benefiting them because as it stands, the parliament is a place where tyranny of number is what is operating. Like if you have numbers, you have your way. If you don't have numbers, then you don't have any business in that parliament, because that is what we are currently seeing happening there. Like what happened yesterday, the minority's voice were not taken into consideration, but all in all, the bill had passed. So that is what is happening. Again, the NSSF rates case is back to Court of Appeal. Remember, so let me just read for you this. The Supreme Court yesterday returned a battle between employees and employer to the Court of Appeal. This is after finding that the lower court erred by finding that Employment and Labor Relations Court had no powers to hear the case challenging the hiking contribution from 200 to 2,000. So in the meantime, the contribution will continue as the top court did not stop the same. So Chief Justice Martha Koome, her Deputy Philomena Mwilu, and Justice Mohammed Ibrahim, Smoking Wanjala, Joki Ndungu, and William Ouko were anonymous that the Court of Appeal erred by finding that the Labour Court had no powers to hear the constitutional issues. So we have already held that contrary to the Court of Appeal finding, the Labour Relations Court had jurisdiction to determine the constitutional validity of NSSF Act 2013. It is therefore no longer a live issue as to whether this matter should be remitted to the High Court ruled. So what is happening is that the NSSF was hiked. You know, hii pesa iliongezwa. Walisema ile 200 wa mnatoa ni kidogo. So it seems like everything is now being taken to court. So that does it mean that the only hope that Kenyans are having currently is the court system?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
that is sure, Mr. Leo. Yeah,
so
I think Kenyans, it will take Kenyans centuries. Yeah, it will take the Kenyan centuries to heal from this thing, because we have been suffering for quite a long time. So again, things are passed without public participation. We need to have public participation in everything, because we are suffering. We are really suffering. I think we can inform Kenyans in every matter we are doing, because these are the people who feel this pain. Yeah, we need to inform Kenyans.
So Kenyans need to be involved in each and everything that is happening. But as it stands, Kenyans are not being involved. But we thank God there are quotes there. Let us look at the stories that are still there. Let me look at the next page. Ward reps upstage MPs lobby Ruto for projects. I don't know where this character came. This is what is happening, that members of parliament in Kiambu County have come under fire for failing to pitch a strong case for the region during last week's tour by the President William Ruto. Instead, the MPs engaged in political attacks and 2027 succession politics. The visit by the President to Kiambu presented a chance for the elected representative to directly engage and push for much needed development initiatives in the constituency. So people are saying that in Kiambu, when the president visited last week, instead of their MPs and MCAs asking the president for some projects in the region, they were attacking each other and trying to prove who is more powerful or who is mightier than the other one. So maybe the question I'm asking you, does it mean that we don't have structures that can ensure people get development without maybe begging the president and telling the president, you want to see the president, we need to have this road? Must MPs and MCAs follow the president and tell him in a rally what they want for it to be done? Or do we have some laws that ensures that these services are given to the citizens? What if the president doesn't visit your village?
When it comes to Kenya, we have been sure that the Constitution of Kenya, Constitution of Kenya is not well followed. We don't adhere to Constitution of Kenya because I know we have a situation whereby the Constitution gives everyone a room to participate in everything. So if we follow what is written in the Constitution, by the way, I'm very sure that things are going to be done. But people, they just make their laws, they just want to do things in their own. But we are guided by this constitution. So we need to follow this constitution. We make sure that this constitution is followed, because it is only by this way we are going to do things in the right order. Because we cannot just come up and say that we want to inform public participation, or we need to do this to make this order. But following the rights and what is written in the constitution, I'm very sure that, and obeying the judiciary and the three arms of government, making sure we deliver the best, the three arms of the government and constitution, I'm very sure things will be in the right order. Things only fall in that category: constitution and the three arms of government. That is only a way we are going to make sure that we are the best. But again, if we break those things, we break the rules, we don't adhere to the constitution, and that is the only thing. We want to support because we want to please someone. If we support to please someone, then it will not have any purpose, because we need to make things in right order. And that's why I see that Museveni, people see that Museveni is a dictator, but the way he makes laws, the way Uganda is run, definitely if you follow Uganda politics, you can know that Uganda is one of the best countries, because whatever is written there, whatever is done in the country, it is in the right order. But you have some loops. But loops must be there. But it is not 90% anytime you'll be having loops. I think we need to follow the three arms of government, and no one is above the law. And we need to be neutral. Neutral here, it means that we need to involve everyone in whatever we do, because you cannot run a country alone. This country is made by 50 million people.
So you cannot run a country alone. Actually, you need everyone on board to run this country. You need the courts, you need the parliament, and you need the executive. So as it stands, it seems that the executive have been given all the powers, because you see people saying that when the president visits your region, you need to be present there so that you tell the president things that you need to have. Yet we have a constitution, we have a parliament that allocates funds to these constituencies. We have a county assembly that allocates funds to these wards. So must you wait for the president to come is when the road is going to be fixed? Must you wait for the president to come is when bursary is going to be given to the students? I think that is wrong, and that kind of mentality, we should do away with it. Moving on, standard page 6, Eurobond buyback deal complete, president says. So Kenya has avoided defaulting on its foreign debt repayment after completion of Eurobond buyback. Speaking in Naivasha, yesterday, President William Ruto said the government had bought back a substantial part of the $2 billion Eurobond obtained in 2014. So underline 2014. This Eurobond was obtained in the year 2014, before handshake. So the government have bought it back. So the Eurobond was scheduled to mature on June 24, 2024, but have been settled by paying 1.5 billion US dollars raised on February 12, 2024, said Ruto. So the restructuring of the repayment plan, Ruto said, will now save the country from having the burden of paying it back the debt tune of 2 billion at a go. So the president, flanked by National Treasury officials, say that the buyback and the new bond issue will have a ripple effect on the currency and cost of living. The strategies we have taken have resulted in appreciation of the shilling against the dollar. Shilling appreciated from 162. It was exchanging at 162, shillings per dollar. Right now it is 142 shillings a dollar. And while reiterating the need for a presidential debt management, the president said that the country found itself in a financial hole due to simultaneous reduction of revenues and an increase in debt as a percentage of the GDP. So we've paid 1.5 US dollar billion, 1.5 billion US dollar. But the president is saying that this money is what was collected in February. But there is a money that was borrowed to resettle the same. So who is speaking the truth?
When it comes to Kenya, you cannot even know who is speaking the truth. Because we are just washed away by this corruption until we don't know what is the true and what is wrong. So I think we can make some rules that make sure that we can follow the rights and what is wrong. So here, I cannot tell you what is right and what is wrong because things are encroaching. We are saying that the Eurobond is the one that is making us to get the increase of dollar. The president is involved. They're saying everyone is involved. So how do you do this again? And you know that this thing will affect most of people because this Eurobond and the forex, most of Kenyans are involved in this.
I
this
think
thing will make us get into trouble because I'm very sure there is something that is involved. You know, if that increase is genuine, then people will know. If not genuine, people will know because
what happened
there is a change.
If our shilling gains, Kenyans and the ordinary Kenyans will be able to feel it in their pockets. The same way, if our shilling depreciates in value, Kenyans are feeling it in the pocket. When our shilling lost against the dollar, we felt it in our pocket in that the price of fuel rose. The cost of most of the things that are imported and being paid in dollars increased because our shilling lost value. And now that our shilling has gained value, Kenyans are expecting to see the cost of these things that they import reduced, starting with the cost of fuel and these electronics and anything that we normally import and we pay in United States dollar, we should be seeing their prices reducing. So with that, Kenyans will be able to say that now we are feeling the effect of shilling gaining against the dollar. So why was I asking you who is speaking the truth? Because if you look at the next page, we are being told that public debt swallows 90%, 98% of Kenyan revenue. So meaning what we collected in February, all the revenue that was collected in February, 98% have been used to pay debt. Tumebakisha 2%. So will 2% pay the salaries and do the development that is needed? So that's the state of the country. We are saying the country is on the right direction. At the same time, we are told that the debt is swallowing 98% of revenue. Look at this. They're saying that nearly all the money collected from taxes in January went to serving debt. The greatest indication of the extent of the cash crash facing President William Ruto administration. Data from the National Treasury shows that the government spent 98.77% of revenue to repay public debt. the highest amount in recent months. According to the statement of the actual revenue and net exchequer issues, a document published monthly in the Kenyan Gazette by National Treasury Cabinet Secretary Njuguna Ndung'u, the government spent shillings 163.5 billion out of shillings 165.57 billion collected as taxes to pay public debt. The figures exclude money raised from government services, which form part of non-tax revenue. So all the tax revenues that you pay, which is the major source of revenue in this country, has been used in paying tax, paying debts. Think about that.
We are in total mess. You know, I can assure you that we are going to suffer for the next 10 years or 3 years or the remaining years. Because if 98% was used to pay, was swallowed by the debt. So the 2%.
Yes.
You mean this can the government, the UDA, the UDA leadership, they took over the reign when we were so bad. I cannot even ascertain what happened because Kenyans were not feeling this pain during the last government. By the start of 2013 to 2022, this is not the way things were being done. Now things are even worse. What is the problem? You know, the biggest question here is what is happening. Because even in 1 month after the UDA government took over, Kenyans felt the weight. So what is the problem here? The biggest question is what is the problem? And how are you going to solve this problem? We are in the tough.
And even Goodyear is telling us something that is making sense, that, you know, if the inflation is steady and the commodities are up, it doesn't make sense because the public still feels the pinch. And that is true. Those people who understand economics will tell you that when we have inflation, what happens? That is when the price of items will suddenly shoot up and people will feel that pain. But if this one has been managed and the things are now moving on in a steady way, and for us to reach what we call the equilibrium, so what happens is that the citizens should be feeling it in their pockets, that they've been relieved. If something that you're buying at 100 shillings, when maybe the a shilling lost value because this thing is imported, and by that time to import it $1 you needed 160. Now for you to import it you need 140. It means the price of that item should also be reduced so that we are able to understand that the economy is stable. But the economy cannot be stable in books or in papers. The economy should be stable practically, and I think that is what is missing in the country right now. We cannot tell people that the economy is stable, yet they cannot be able to feel it in their pockets. Good news for Nyeri farmers, coffee fetches best price. The story is there. So if you grab your standard, you'll be able to go through it. Another nice story over there in page 8. Raila succession. Scramble to grab mantle begins in Azimio and ODM. The race to succeed Azimio leader Raila Odinga in the country's opposition is on, and political titans are lining up with optimism to inherit the mantle. It is a debate that has been ongoing since Raila lost the 2022 presidential election, but has gotten a new lease of life after he announced his interest in shifting his attention to continental politics. The decision by the ODM leader to offer himself to be the next AU Commission chairman has increased political underrates, and observers predict that the scramble is bound to take two fronts and will be fought in the larger Azimio coalition and his ODM party. So Raila is to be replaced. So Raila is to be replaced as Azimio, and Raila is also to be replaced as an ODM party leader. So intense lobbying. So the standard has established that intense lobbying has begun in earnest in the opposition as members start preparing for the possibility of politics without Raila. In Azimio, among those hoping to fit Raila's big boots are Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, Naik Kenya leader Martha Karua, alongside governors of Paranya and Ali Hassan Joho. So according to insiders, Kalonzo's allies are secretly lobbying to have Raila endorse Wiper leader as his replacement and help him inherit his political base across the country. A similar script is also said to be developing in ODM, where a host of his allies are hoping to inherit a slice of his political base and get his endorsement to enable them steer the orange ship. The list include youthful politicians who have been hoping to blossom under Raila's guidance and experience. So Raila's allies Joho Oparanya, Gladys Wanga, Simba Arati, Babu Owino, John Badi, as well as minority leader Opio Wandai are hoping to be the face of ODM should Raila clinch the ODM AU job. So although it remains a mystery whether the former prime minister will finally turn his back on the party, as he has been the force behind his political success over the years, and his failure to groom a non-successor has opened room for speculations and a contest. So yesterday, several ODM leaders told the Standard that no one has the political mantle to succeed Raila and are downplaying talks of his succession. So they're saying Raila have been the face of ODM. And right now, there are some people you can just see obviously and say that this person is being fronted to replace Raila. But in this case, ni kama ameficha white. Nobody knows who he prefers to be his successor. And the people are left to speculate and to fight for it openly, like it is a fair game whereby everybody can replace him. What do you say of that, Bonfas?
Mr. Leo, Kenya is a country whereby it's run by a dynasty. I think you remember and you know what does dynasty mean, because if you consider in this situation,
I'm losing you. All right, I think one of us are having some challenges, but still the story that continues is this. While some believe it is too early to talk about succession, others admit that political jousting is already underway and claim the succession race will not be for the faint-hearted. Badi described the succession talk as premature, but admitted that someone will rise to the occasion when time is right. Awendo MP Walter Weno argues that talking about Raila's succession is a bit too early and claims the Azimio leader has assembled a strong team of allies who can weather the storm. Of course, they can't become a Raila, but I believe there are people who are capable of doing what is supposed to be done politically. That is what Babu Wino said. Rangwe MP Lilian Gogo, who also says that it is too early to speak about Raila's succession in opposition, holds that nobody can fit into Raila's shoes. She says there are so many things they can credit to the leadership of Raila, which include county governments, the Constitution 2010, truthfulness in the opposition leadership, fighting for human rights in Kenya, and whistleblowing on matters that involve governments. Gogo adds that Raila has even sacrificed his life to bring up new leaders. Rongo MP Paula Abur thinks that there is no one from the current crop of Nyanza leaders who can consolidate the entire Nyanza bloc behind him and also attract support from other regions. It will take a while for a leader to emerge, and one of the main attributes this time will be a clear development track record in addition to being a team player, Bur says. So political analyst and lawyer Clifford Obiero argues that confusion bound to rock Nyanza and the region is likely to split into factions in the scramble to replace Raila. Yes, that is true. And that is what I also feel, that getting somebody who will once come up and consolidate the following of Nyanza and have everybody behind him or behind her, it will be hard. And we are likely to see divisions, factions, and groups in Nyanza for those people who will be trying to replace Raila. We are going to have groups because everybody will claim, oh, I can do this, I can do this, but nobody will be able to marshal and maybe unite people behind him or her. It's going to be hard. It's not going to be a walk in the park, but let us wait and see, because, Raila will finally have to exit the scene. And it's a reality that he will have to be replaced. Maybe somebody might not do what Raila managed to do. Imagine controlling the entire region and also getting acceptance outside your region for all those decades, whereby what you say becomes law. And they say Raila is the law. What Raila says becomes law. If Raila says it is holiday, it becomes holiday. I don't think it will be easy to get somebody of that caliber. But at the end of the day, somebody will have to step in and try to do whatever things he used to do. Some news there that there is more pain as the state seeks to tax leasehold land in urban areas. For those people who've been leasing land in urban areas, so this is news for you. The government is planning to do what? To tax you. Yes, you have to pay taxes. The president said so. You'll read that story. Aha. There's an alarm, page 12 of the Standard. Alarm as skilled nurses leave for better salaries, working terms abroad. Yes, this is true. We've always talked of this brain drain. We have nurses trained in Kenya, and the country trained several nurses each year. But what happens? These nurses don't give services to this country. They are looking for greener pastures abroad. And this one leaves Kenya without enough nurses. The people who are qualified who should be giving services back to the country are going abroad. So it's really alarming the rate at which our nurses are getting out of the country. So public health institutions in Singishu County have lost more than 120 nurses through resignations and mobility in pursuit of better opportunities abroad. So imagine 120 nurses. That is, it was in Gishu County alone. They've resigned. So the hospitals are left deserted because people are looking for work abroad. I think the government should get ways of ensuring that our nurses are given better terms so that they don't go and give these quality services to the foreigners as our people suffer. Doctors threaten to strike over delayed internships. So the union faults Ministry of Health and the government for not releasing funds to send medical guarantees graduates to hospitals. So they say the 1,215 interns are ready to work and ease pressure on the health care workers. So they're threatening a strike. There's also a report on Kiptum's death. So Kiptum died of injuries to skull, died to the accident that he got involved in. So you'll read this story in page 13 of the Standard. So when you grab your copy, ensure you read it. On the same page, you're going to see how university students win climate change competition. Oh, those people who like reading the opinions on the editorial Thursday Standard, page 14. Okay, you'll be able to read. Somebody is talking about opposition can beat Kenya Kwanza even without Raila. That is according to Elias Mokwa. You'll be able to read his opinion and know why he believes that opposition can beat Kenya Kwanza even without Raila. Has cabinet performed to your satisfaction? That is a question that Kenyans responded to. I know you have your response there. You can be able to get the same. And still on leadership, somebody has penned something. You'll read it on page 17. Why Raila's energy should be channeled towards consolidating democratic gains made in Kenya. So if you get time, you pick your newspaper, ensure that you read that story over there. With me, what I was doing was just to give you some updates and try to give you a summary of what is in the papers as we weigh on them. But it's now your responsibility to buy the paper, sit down with it and read and even fill the Sudoku and all the crossword puzzles there. Boniface, I think you lost the connection. You are making some comments, so maybe I can allow you to proceed.
I'm back, Mr. Leo. I'm back, Mr. Leo.
Yes,
There
you can
was some
proceed.
miscommunication here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we were talking about
Mm-hmm.
The headline for the Standard. You know, you can zoom the headline for the Standard because I saw it. It has a lot of content. The headline for the Standard.
Okay, I'll zoom it for you. Yes.
Yeah. Now the big question now here, Mr. Leo,
Yes.
that we'll ask is, why are we getting this money to do some things which are not going to get the whole country attention? Again, if we get that money, it is a large amount of money. So how can we use this money to just give to someone who has already finished school? Can we use this money to do some good things in developing the country? You know, if we have 83 million, we disperse to the 47 counties. I'm very sure if we get, for example, we divide by 47 countries, we are very sure that each county will get some money, and that money can be used to do some good things. We have a lot of things that need to be done. We need to focus on the entire. If I could be the president of this country, the first thing you can do is to capture the attention of the citizen.
Yeah.
There's only citizens want only social amenities, education. They need social amenities, education, agriculture, and security. If you give the entire citizens those three or those four, I'm very sure you will cut the heart of the citizen. I think it's very easy to just get the attention of the citizen. For example, Kenyans, because you know that a lot of people are suffering. A lot of people are suffering. We need to make this money go to those people who are suffering. We have some counties that are in a total mess. We are in counties. I have been watching news for northern part of Kenya, Mandera, Marsabit, Garissa. Even if the rain, we have a lot of rain. But again, if we have a lot of rain, those are the places where even in 2 weeks they are going to experience that increase in temperatures, and totally everything that was green turns to dry. So I think we can do better things with this money. We have a lot of money. But again, if we saw, I think, Mr. Lee, we saw that 98% was swallowed, but has been already swallowed.
Yes.
So what about the 2%?
2% is what now is going to be used in steering some development within the country. So the 2% is what now the government is going to manage kubalance tu ili uchumi iweze kuingiana.
We manage the country 47 counties with 2%.
Yeah. Oh, somebody is asking me a nice question. Laban Misian is asking, nobody communities in the north, do they need affordable houses? I don't know how I can answer that. In the northern, do they need affordable houses?
Actually, that is a very tough question, because those people, they are nomadic pastoralists. They move from one place to another.
One place to another. So maybe they can have some movable, affordable house. I don't know. These are the reasons why people are really saying that we ought to do what is called public participation. Yeah. In public participation, we need to reach people and tell them, also to tell us, what do you people need? How do you want it to be done? Rather than just assuming that these guys need. You know, I might have promised you something. Yes, it is my obligation to fulfill the promise. But the promise that I gave you was unnecessary. So sometimes we need to rethink about the promises that you give. It is true. The president promised that he's going to give affordable houses. But the other question is, do people need it? You can promise me that you are going to buy for me a jacket. Yes, it's a promise you have to fulfill. But do I really need a jacket? You need to talk to me and say, I wanted to buy a jacket. This jacket is 2,000 shillings. Do you need a jacket, or you need a sport shoe, so that we can be able to speak from that point and agree on one thing? So Laban, that question is really hard. We will ensure that this question reaches the people involved, so that they can be able to tell us.
That is a very hard question, because we know that in northern part of Kenya, those places are very dispersed. They are very sparsely populated. So I think that question it will take us centuries to answer that question, because those people, they just use very temporary housing. The manyatas, they even sleep in the trees, they even sleep where their cows are there. So they don't need those housing. So I don't know how we can answer that one, but that is a question that can be raised in the parliament. I think if one of the parliament, the MPs raise that question, it will raise a lot of eyebrows.
Good year. This is this rhetoric, that they are flat pack houses which you can move with. Maybe some news there. Maybe the government is planning to do that. Let us wait and see what is going to take place in the Senate. If the senators are going to agree with the National Assembly and adopt the bill, then so be it. Laban is making some sense that these people need water for their animals. So instead of the government and their governors and their MPs voted for the affordable housing, they need to vote so that instead of the government giving these houses, they be supplied with water, irrigation, dams. They need dams more than they need houses. So, ladies and gentlemen, from this end, we were just trying to tell you, highlight to you some of the things that are making headlines on our daily newspapers, so that we get you informed, we get you updated in the morning. So even if you didn't get an opportunity to buy a newspaper, at least you know how the newspaper looks like today. And this one will also motivate you, give you motivation to go and grab your copy and go through it and see what is happening in our beloved country, Kenya. So without saying much, I think we are 2 minutes to the end of this wonderful show. So Boniface, maybe just in a minute, if you can just give a summary, or you've seen what is in the newspaper, at least we've gone through it, right from the debt repayment, right from the passing of the affordable housing bill. We've also seen some corruption that is happening in our institutions. We've also seen the Raila succession, where people are lining up to succeed him. Yeah. So what is your summary? Like, what is your parting shot for that?
Mr. Leo, I think from my hand,
yes,
we need to make sure that we accommodate every Kenyan. We need to make sure we accommodate every Kenyan. Because these things we are doing are going to affect us. So I'm worried about the well-being of Kenya. Very worried. Because I don't think whether if we continue like this, we are going to make it for the vision 2030. I'm worried. So from the headlines of today, I can attest that we are in a total mess. So we are very worried about the well-being of Kenya.
I get you. We are in a total mess. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me take this opportunity to thank you. Goodyear, thank you very much for always tuning in and also reminding people.
Goodyear has been a very loyal follower and also commentator. We need to call her a commentator because he has been giving us a lot of comments, wise and advising Kenyans. I'm very sure a good here wherever you are blessed because you have been blessing our channel every day. And
from the name, I'm very sure the name is good. So good, you don't expect something bad. Once you're called good here, it means everything is good in you. So you have to appreciate that. Laban, karibu sana. Thank you so much. Laban is saying that Baringo people need security and water, not houses. But the worst is that these people are having representatives in parliament. I think these are some of the things that their representatives should be doing in parliament, and it's also opening Kenyan eyes that next time when you're voting, vote somebody who is going to represent you genuinely, somebody who understands what you really need, so that when they go to parliament, they're not going to waste time discussing things that are non-issues. Rather, they are going to discuss real issues. I've not seen any MP from Baringo bringing a proposal or a bill in parliament trying to look into how security can be beefed up there. What I see them is voting yes for the affordable housing and such kind of thing. So if you are in Baringo, you need to tell your MPs that you are my representative. And if you are my representative, you need to represent my needs. You need to represent that thing which I need. So next time people go for voting, their eyes are opened, they know the kind of people that they will have to vote. That was the Africa Daily Review. I wish you a good day.